Hi, my name is Anastasia, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the Bookternet All-Star Charity Challenge created by Rachel Mary. So Rachel Mary created this tag in order to raise money for coronavirus, and the way this tag works is that for every video that is created or photo that is created doing this challenge, or I don't know, Twitter account that does this challenge, the host will donate £1 to a charity that is not yet determined. However, I think it's up to £75, and every person that does the challenge also has the option to donate as well. And it's actually a pretty nice way to get the community together and raise money for something that worries a lot of people and has cost a lot of things to a lot of people during this time. I will link Rachel's video down below in order for you to go check out her video where she explains a little bit better how the fundraising will happen and, you know, the details that I might have missed. But basically this tag is all about looking at all the popular books and authors that have taken over BookTube the past years or decade and giving our thoughts on them. Okay, so I have a list of all the authors and books that are listed in this tag. There are a lot of them, so I'm gonna try to keep my opinions short and to the point, which we all know is not my strong suit, but anyway. First author is Angie Thomas, and from her I have read The Hate You Give, which I read during the Reading Rush Readathon during the summer, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It was very, very emotional. It was very eye-opening. It talked about, you know, racial discrimination and the injustice of the justice system. It sheds light into the topic of race and injustice in a way that is very emotional and heartbreaking, but also very empowering. I do believe Angie Thomas has written a lot of other books as well. I think On the Come Up is her other book, which I still have not read. I believe this is about a girl that wants to be a rapper. But The Hate You Give is about a 16-year-old girl who's Star, yes, her name is Star, whose best friend is shot by a cop, and then he's presented by the media and the cops and everyone as a villain, and it's all because her friend is black, like she is and her family, and the cop was white. So it's all about, you know, how race plays a factor when things go wrong. So if you haven't read this book, I strongly urge you to do. It's a very important read, and it's actually pretty funny at times as well, so you're not gonna regret reading this book, basically. The next book in this list is Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. Now, I know that this trilogy is very, very loved by so many, and I believe it's not a trilogy anymore, it's actually 6 books. I did read the first book like 6 years ago, and I remember I loved the way Tahereh Mafi writes because it's a very lyrical and poetic way. I don't know why I didn't continue on with the trilogy. I do have the entire first trilogy. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to it because I just don't care enough to, you know, get into the trilogy and reread the first book, because I've forgotten so many things in order to go to the second book and the third book and then another 3 books, and I don't want to. Next up is Leigh Bardugo, and Leigh Bardugo is one of my favorite writers of all time. She has written the Shadow and Bone trilogy, the Six of Crows duology, and her newest book is Ninth House. Her newest book is Ninth House. So my favorite duology of hers is the Six of Crows duology. I love this duology to death. I binge read it. I am in love with all of the characters, especially, no, there's no especially, I love all of the characters. I cannot pick. It's like picking a favorite child. I love the writing style in the Six of Crows duology. Like, I just read Shadow and Bone, and while I love the concept and I love the world and the magic system and everything, I was not swept away by the writing. I wasn't like mind blown or something like that. Leigh Bardugo is a person that, you know, evolves with each book, so I can't wait to read Ninth House by her. But so far I have read Shadow and Bone, the Six of Crows duology, which I love to death, and I'm slowly making my way through the Shadow and Bone trilogy before the new Netflix TV show comes out, which I'm so excited to watch and so terrified at the same time, because one thing I know about adaptations of books that I love is that usually they're not successful. The fourth book is Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this trilogy because I loved it. I loved the first book and I loved the second book, and then it's like when I read the third book my eyes opened and I was like, wow, I really don't like this writing style, because I realized that the author was not getting really deep into the world or the emotions of each character, because everything was so much to the point. The plot went by so fast that you didn't get a chance to actually, you know, live and like experience the scene and experience the heartbreak. It's just, it moved so fast that I couldn't, like, I didn't even register the emotions it was evoking. I'm so confused when it comes to this trilogy, because I did have a fun time reading it. I did love the romance. I loved a lot of things, but I also hated a lot of things. I felt like it could have been better. It had so much potential, and I do love Holly Black's writing and like characters usually. Like, I read The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by her and I fell in love with it. It's just something about this trilogy fell flat for me. Then we have The Bone Witch. I can't remember the author's name, but I'm gonna put the image here, which I have not read, but it is on my TBR. It sounds like a really interesting book and I would love to read it. Then of course we have V.E. Schwab, who is an amazing writer. She writes so beautifully, and I haven't read a lot of books from her. I'm going to rectify that. I'm planning to rectify that. So far I have read Vicious by her and Vengeful, which I was so lucky, like you have no idea, because I read Vicious and I was completely obsessed with it and with V. Schwab, because who doesn't love Vicious? It's about two super villains that go against each other. It's literally a book written from the perspective of a villain, and you're not sure what is good and what is evil and who is right and who is wrong, and both characters are so morally ambiguous, and the bunch of characters in this book stick out. Like, every single character sticks out. The writing is impeccable. It's beautiful, it's descriptive, it kind of grasps you and doesn't let you go. When I realized there was a sequel coming out, I was like, oh god, I need to have it. And I walked one day into Sheffield's Waterstones. It was 5 days before the actual release date, and it was there. It was sitting beautifully in one of those many shelves of Waterstones, and I saw it, and I didn't even care if I didn't have that much money at that point, but I was like, screw that, I'm buying this. And I think like I opened it and I wrote down the date that I bought it on the front of the cover and the release date. So that never happened to me before, and that book will always have like a special place in my heart. Remember when I said this is gonna be short and sweet? Now you know. Okay, then we have Cinder by Marissa Meyer, which I read so long ago and I loved it. I love the sci-fi retelling of Cinderella that this is. I wasn't expecting it to be as fun and as scary as it was in certain parts. It was really fascinating because I'm not a person that likes sci-fi. I don't tend to gravitate towards that genre, but this kind of made me open up to it. It didn't make me like go, ooh, sci-fi is really interesting, maybe I should check it out. No, but it didn't make me go, oh, this is sci-fi, I really don't want to read it. When it came out, we didn't really get a lot of characters that were not, you know, English or American, typical white Caucasian female or male character at that point. And the fact that this was set in Beijing, I think, probably, and it had to do with, you know, Asian characters, was really fascinating for me. Then I read Scarlet, which I did read like a year ago, and it was not as great as Cinder, to be honest with you, but towards the end I was surprised by the gory parts of the story, because, you know, it's a YA story and it usually tends to kind of tread carefully even when there is like a lot of action or when it handles like really dark themes. But in Scarlet, it went there and I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised. And I can't wait to go on with the series because I know so many people love it, and I know I will too. Number 8 in the list is Adam Silvera, and I know he has written a lot of books that make you cry and kind of like tug on your heartstrings. I read They Both Die at the End, which destroyed me. Literally, I remember sobbing, which is not a spoiler because basically from what I've heard, every single book of Adam Silvera's ends in a sob fest. I do have History's All You Left Me by him, which I am dying to read, and I do believe he just started to venture into the fantasy genre. I can't remember the name right now, but it has received mixed reviews. I really do want to read that book and kind of, you know, make my own opinion of it. Number 9 is Cassandra Clare, and as if I needed an excuse to gush about Cassandra Clare, I don't think I've done a video so far where I didn't at least mention her or one of her Shadowhunter books. So yes, give me a chance to like fangirl a little bit more. Basically, I'm obsessed with Cassandra Clare's books and Cassandra Clare herself. I love her writing. Her characters have kept me company throughout the years, however lonely and sad that sounds. Lonely. Oh well. I grew up with the Mortal Instruments series by her. I don't think there will ever be a time when I'm not going to be obsessed with Cassandra Clare books, and I do believe she's coming out with a new adult fantasy series, and it's her first time writing something that's not Shadowhunters related, so I really cannot wait to read that and kind of, you know, watch her evolve as a writer and start something new. Then we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I have not read. I have read Davy Jones and the Six by her, and I am in love with that book. I can't wait to reread it. I can't believe I still haven't reread it. But I do love the concept of Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I do know that it's more, you know, historical fiction and it touches upon a lot of things, and that this author tends to write very raw and powerful female characters, so I do plan on reading this book very soon. Then we have Laini Taylor, and everyone knows that Laini Taylor has a very lyrical writing style. I keep talking about authors' writing styles, but honestly that's the biggest thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about authors. It's not even the characters, I just immediately think about the way they write. I have only read Daughter of Smoke and Bone by her. It was amazing, and it was amazing because it had insta love in it, and I'm not a fan of insta love at all, but the way Laini Taylor handled it actually made sense to me. And it was also set in Prague, and since then I've been obsessed with Prague and I've been wanting to go to Prague so badly. It will happen one day. One day I will wander through the roads of Prague and I will hold Daughter of Smoke and Bone in my hands, and I will take lots of pictures for Instagram. Next up is Illuminate by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, and I actually read this for the first time during the summer and I was blown away. I read it for the Reading Rush readathon because I was like, even if I don't like it, the way it's written makes it go by really fast. It did, but I don't think it went by fast because of the way it was written. I think it went by fast because from the moment I opened the damn book, I could not put it down. It was amazing and mind-blowing to me that I got so invested into the story, and I was at the edge of my seat and like I was shocked and, you know, heartbroken and scared and like disgusted in so many different occasions in this book, and I was shocked that this kind of book, in the way it was written, actually made me feel this way. Then we have Scythe by Neal Shusterman, and I'm gonna disappoint a lot of people here because I did not like it. I am fascinated about the elements and the themes that Neal Shusterman explores in this book about death and how that makes life more, you know, worth living and exploring. How, you know, he even explores like the concept of God and the concept of information and what that means, and passion and art. So this whole thing fascinated me. It was amazing because I don't think I've ever read something like that. However, I did not like the way this story was handled. I think the author schemed through scenes that would have made me connect to the characters, like the beginning of their training, or the beginning of the training, the academy, what was it, whatever. Then it was the unnecessary romance, which came out of nowhere. It was suddenly, oh, I love you, oh my god, I love you too, and I was like, no you don't, this makes no sense. I could not connect with the characters because I didn't feel like the author allowed me to, because he was really focused on the pace of the story and on getting to that final point. However, I know that everyone loves it, and I might read the second book, but if I do, it's not gonna be, you know, me buying the second book. It's probably gonna be getting it from the library. Then we have Sarah J Maas, and of course Sarah J Maas has taken BookTube by storm, and not just BookTube, the whole book community by storm. The thing about Sarah J Maas is I love her writing, I love her characters. She can write beautiful angsty romance, and the one thing I respect her for is that you never knew who the character is gonna end up with. So if you go into a Sarah J Maas book and you love the couple in the first book, don't get too attached. Just a tip of advice there for you. I did read Throne of Glass by her. I loved the first book. I think I read it in a day. I was on vacation and I couldn't stop reading it. However, I finished it and never continued on with the series because I didn't have the urge to continue on with it, and then it's such a huge series and I still don't feel the urge. But her A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, I adore. I adore the band of characters in the later books. I adore the world, the way it expanded towards the second and the third book, and the magic system and the whole idea of, you know, fae courts being divided based on seasons, and the beautiful, angsty, steamy romance between Fair and Reese. Basically, Sarah J Maas knows how to write good ass romance. The next two I have not read and I don't know much about, and it's An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir and the author Shannon Maguire. An Ember in the Ashes, I'm not sure if I will ever read. I don't know why, it doesn't like kind of pull my attention enough for me to go and buy it and be like, oh, I'm gonna read this. I'm open to, you know, for you to change my mind, but so far no one has. And Shannon Maguire is really funny because in the beginning I thought it was like the list was talking about the author of Pushing the Limits, which is a new adult series of 2013. It was really good, but actually, you know, every heart a doorway, which I don't know much about. I know a lot of people love it. I am planning to read it at some point, but not now. Then we have The Poppy War. I can't remember the author's name, but I'm currently participating in the Asian Readathon, and one of my fantasy picks for this month is The Poppy War, so I am really hoping to get to it this month, or if not this month because I have a lot of exams and like things to do, I'm gonna get to it during the summer because it's really fascinating, and every single person that loves fantasy loves this book. So I love fantasy, I probably am gonna like this book. And last but not least, because my battery is dying, is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Now, I have a love and hate relationship with Jenny Han. I read To All the Boys I've Loved Before. It was okay. It was a bit too immature at times for me. I thought the romance was cute, was not like the best, but it had some really sweet and wonderful and beautiful and adorable moments that I cherished. So I do want to continue on with the trilogy. I love the movie. I actually kind of love the movie a bit more than the book, but you know, I think that is Noah's fault because he's adorable and he knows how to play a character really well. Side note on this is that the other trilogy I read by Jenny Han is Summer I Turned Pretty, which is also another trilogy that I have a love-hate relationship, and it's always because of the main character, because I kind of like them, but they also act really, really immature at times, and I'm like, girl, Those are my thoughts on the popular books and authors that have taken BookTube by storm. I hope you enjoyed this, and please, please, please go check out Rachel Mary's video and donate if you can. I hope you guys are well and staying safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!